Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another weekend at Loka's. I am of course LokaCola, and the Modern Warfare 2 beta is on right now, so we're gonna play Ghosts. And we being me and Prentice.
Help! He's keeping me captive! I want to be Modern Warfare 2, but he's put me in Ghosts! Help! Help! Someone save me!
No! Where's the button? I need to blow you up. No one can know that I'm forcing you.
I didn't know this was a Suicide Squad situation. I didn't know this was a Suicide Squad situation. I'll shut up.
And also, for possibly the first time, Daxter is not just here, but also probably the most sane one here.
I am.
Because he's actually playing the beta.
Yeah.
So
and I won't be playing for too long because I'm gonna go do social things.
Boo.
Boo.
I know. Look, it's with woman. I have to do it. It is with girl.
Oh,
wait,
you didn't
really?
specify that earlier.
Yep. Okay, we're not dating.
You just said friend, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't... Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You know the bro code. Actually, I think this is in violation of said bro code, but I don't care.
I don't even know.
I don't think I do either. Anyway.
Anyway, we're playing Ghosts, and this is... That works surprisingly well. And this wasn't in our original outline. Although, when I was going to pitch this, I did for a few seconds consider, should I put Ghosts into this? And I kind of put it on a no for a number of reasons. Partly was that I don't know if I want to force Prentice to reinstall the game for something like this.
But I already did that to myself, so...
Yeah, so when you said you'd done that, I kind of started thinking about it again, but I was still a little bit, I don't know, for a number of reasons, which we'll probably discuss in a game where currly 364 players are online.
Which is
That's
double
almost
the
a player
amount I saw
every
earlier.
year.
Every day.
I'm shocked. And you know what? Just for science, I'm gonna see if it's actually gonna find us an online experience. If not, we're gonna switch over to bots. Since that
which is probably what's gonna happen, but
yeah, science.
Yeah, like you said, for science, finding best experience.
Big
That's what it actually says.
Oh, it's finding players. Of course, they could be all since. Considering what tends to happen with online games like these, I'm sure we're gonna get matched up against people that do not do anything besides playing Ghosts.
Probably, yeah. These are the dedicated fans of Ghosts. There is only 364 of them in the world, and all of them are playing right now.
They have not seen the sun in ages. They have not touched grass.
And we're going to the worst map in the game.
What?
Because of course,
Isn't this the most iconic name?
I mean, honestly, it's really perfect that this is the map we're going to. Why do I not have a scope on this weapon? What is wrong with me?
Oh, little baby.
Okay, I'm actually glad. I'm actually glad to see you're playing as Captain Price. So it's a little more Modern Warfare themed.
I mean, yeah. Did I purchase a Captain Price skin back in 2013 or 2014 for approximately $5.99 or however much it was worth? Yes. Do I feel bad about it now?
Yes.
Yes. But it's like, am I going to live? Or am I going to be able to live with myself? Also, yes, because you know what? It's It's like playing as Captain Price in Vanguard Warzone, where it's like, you know what, dang it, I'm going to try to put as much good vibes and good energy into this as I possibly can.
Yeah, and I don't know. For me, I'd say that's one of those. Okay, I would probably have done the same if I had played Ghosts back in the day, since as you know, in agreement with Prentice there, like let's just make these vibes as good as possible. And certainly I can't really say anything other than that, because considering I bought both John McClane and the Terminator bundles for Warzone. So I suppose a good place to start with this, because I feel like opinion-wise no one is gonna be surprised by anything we say about Ghosts today. But I was gonna I am gonna go on a somewhat of a semantical note here as to why I went back and forth on having Ghosts as part of this Road to Modern Warfare series, because the focus has been
game.
Well, like it's actually dropping frames. That doesn't happen usually in COD games.
No, I'm noticing that too.
That's how you know something is wrong. And as outlined in back when we started this Road to Modern Warfare 2, it has been about Modern Warfare for COD, as well as kind of its impact on specifically other modern military shooters. So here I posed a question. Would you say that COD Ghosts is a modern military shooter or not?
2004 Future Modern. Or 2014 Future Modern. I know that makes no sense, but hear me out.
Oh my gosh.
So, if we were to look... aren't all the Modern Warfare supposed to be kind of in the future?
By like 5 years.
What would you consider 2042? That's actually that's another great question.
That's 20 years from now, so.
Future or modern?
2042 is future.
I
There's
wouldn't call
robot
it future.
dogs.
We got robot dogs now. They're not killing anyone yet, but we got robot dogs.
Exactly. They're not.
Yeah,
they're not
that's the
killing. They're not
point.
killing anyone yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely also say future for 2042. But if you want to get really semantical, I suppose you could say it's near future.
Yeah, it's near future for sure.
I
It's
prefer
not
too distant.
But it's definitely more future than modern.
Near future and not too distant are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's just how you say it.
Okay, that's confusing.
Ghost, I think, is the exact same. What?
You'll have to try out the LMG whenever you get into the beta on PS5. That's all I will say.
So, the way I thought is that on, and this is why I had such difficulty trying to like, should I include Ghosts in this or not? Because on one hand, you know, it definitely has a lot of the aesthetics of a modern military game. Whoa! I didn't realize it was from Doggo. Oh, he cheated off! He cheated off from the cliff!
I feel like I'm missing a lot by not having seen that. Oh my gosh. This map is so bad.
Oh, I know. Well,
I haven't even hit a single thing I shoot at. I'm even wondering if like the people we're fighting against are hacking and like they have some sort of no-hit hacks or something.
Whoa!
It's
I
called
didn't
bad
see him.
internet.
So, you know, it Whoa, that was friendly. And I don't think it's completely unfair to call this Modern Warfare 4 for all intents and purposes in terms of a lot of the
I killed someone.
Nice this design choices and the structure of the campaign, and it being, you know, kind of having that same cinematic and scripted flair, albeit not as good. Far from it. And as I said, using a lot of modern weaponry. But the thing that kind of made me hesitate is the setting, because it's this is something we didn't really get into with the Modern Warfare Remastered, because, and mostly because I feel like, well, it's sorta kind of obvious when you say modern military shooter, everyone thinks, you know, oh, COD or Battlefield, specifically Battlefield 3 or 4. But we didn't really get into a kind of definition for what a modern military shooter is. Although I suppose thematically it might also make sense that we won't really go into that until next weekend, probably, where we are or at least the next entry of Road to Modern Warfare 2, where the plan is to play Rainbow Six Siege, which is based on Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. And
I thought it was based off of Metal Gear.
At this point, yeah, it might be, as far as I'm aware. But a lot of what I'd say constitutes a modern military shooter really stems a lot from some of Tom Clancy's writings, specifically Red Storm Rising.
Oh, this guy's totally hacking. The guy with the sniper rifle and the ghillie suit, he is 100% hacking. I just watched the entire kill cam and he tracked me through the wall the entire time. So yeah, that explains why I'm 1 in 22 right now.
Yeah. Oh.
Feel good about yourself playing a video game. You got a hack in a game from 2013.
Yeah, that's real sad.
Depressing, even.
Okay, see, watch. I bet this guy tracks her through the wall the entire time. Watch. Oh yeah. See, he was dead on me the entire time as I came into frame there.
Yeah, that's...
And then he even started shooting the wall as I fell down and died.
Yeah, that's sus, definitely.
I think we should switch to bots now.
Yeah.
That was our science experiment.
Yep.
Let's do bots.
We've done the science thing. Let's see. Private match. Oh, right. What's the... There we go. And okay, so we played on what might be one of the worst maps. What's arguably one of the best maps? I don't know. To counterbalance.
Well, I can't do the game setup because you're the host, but I'm just trying to remember from what I'm not going to be good with any of the names here because it's been too long. But there's a frosty one that has like a little cabin in it. That's a pretty good one. Now I saw it. This is it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a good one. I really like this one because there's some good maps in this game that I wouldn't mind them coming back. Some of them don't fit the theme of any of the games that have come out since, but I think Chasm. I think that's another good one because that's got some nice buildings and it's got one of those because this kind of had its own little Levolution system. If you recall.
Yeah.
And so, like, one of the things you could do on Chasm is that there's a bus that there's a city bus that kind of stretches over a little gap that you can use to cross from one part of the map to the other, and you can actually blow that bus up and send it careening down into the chasm below and killing anyone that may or may not be on that bus as they're trying to cross over the gap. So it's little things like that was like, oh, you know what, that was kind of cool and innovative, and I wish that this game hadn't been such a massive failure to where they never tried any of that stuff again.
Yep. I'm just trying to see if there, like, I don't see any options for teams, so I don't know if we're gonna be on the same team or not.
We'll figure it out.
We'll see. If not, then we'll shoot each other in the face.
That works. Honestly, we should do that more.
Yeah. Where was I? Yeah. Like in terms of the setting, because I'd say one part of what makes a modern military shooter, well, a modern military shooter. Oh, okay. You pick teams.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Was probably going to happen. Oh, it's not. It's none of the custom ones. I don't have any of the custom.
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like it matters.
Yeah. So, I'd say for a modern military shooter to be modern, it like not only has to use contemporary weaponry or stuff like that, but it also has to have a sense of realism, at least in terms of the events being depicted. And it might be a little contrarian to say that when...
Didn't you just talk about Rainbow Six Siege or something?
Yeah, but...
And that's going to be part of what we discuss.
Yes, and also because it's the only Tom Clancy game that the three of us have on the PS4, so it's kind of like, well... Yeah. If Tom Clancy has to be included, which I'd say definitely, yeah, then Ghosts... Siege is definitely the go-to there, but like in terms of believability, and I realized that there is a bit of slightly contradictory here, partly because of Siege, but also partly because if you really think about it, like, you know, you have Modern Warfare 2 and 3, which are about World War 3, which haven't happened. And hopefully won't happen anytime soon.
I don't know. Eastern Europe is kind of starting to look a little sus right now.
That's what I'm fearing.
What do you mean? There's nothing going on in Eastern Europe.
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Exactly.
Don't mention the war. Although that's a completely different reference, but it's about the same. But yeah, like I mean that setting at least is still in the realm of possibility, and something that it doesn't feel completely far-fetched. And then you have something like Ghosts, where the setting is, I almost want to say, more fantastical, even though that's not really the proper term here, because it's more like, I don't really know how to put this in words, but
stupid.
Not per se, but more like it doesn't necessarily have that same sense of realism or believability, I'd say, in everything it's setting up. And I'm not saying that as it's a bad thing. I think on paper it would have, you know, if executed properly, I think it would have been a lot more interesting than just a straight up, oh, here's Modern Warfare 4, essentially. But it does make things less, you know, like, feasible, I'd I'd say maybe it's the correct word to convey here, where if something portrayed at least feels feasible, then yeah, I'd say it's in the realm of possibility, and it's definitely a modern military shooter. Whereas this setting, I'd say, isn't really feasible in that sense, even if it's using a lot of modern weaponry and such. But as I said, incredibly semantic here. But that's the thought process that's been going on behind in my brain as I've been trying to like, should I include this game or not?
Well, and I think another thing to reinforce that is that this is all building up to Modern Warfare 2, or 2022, not Modern Warfare 2 2009, which isn't confusing at all.
Yeah.
So this is all building up to this.
What do you mean
it
isn't confusing?
It's all building up to that. This road to Modern Warfare 2 that you have going on, and this is by far, I think, Infinity Ward's lowest point.
Yep.
So I think it's important to look at their lowest point where we're going, which is them coming back from the ashes of not greatness after most of their talented staff left, and then they had this game. Infinite Warfare was better, but still not really great, and it also suffered from being the third game in as many years that was futuristic, and everyone was tired of it by then. So then Modern Warfare 2019 kind of helped revitalize things, and then it's like, oh, maybe Call of Duty's on the upward tick, but then Cold War was kind of received very lukewarmish, and Vanguard I don't think anyone really likes. It's like, I don't think anyone despises it, but I don't think anyone really likes it either. It's more of a this is fine.
It's a thing that exists, basically.
Yes. So with all of that, Infinity Ward is poised to once again, help revitalize this franchise a little bit, like they did 3 years ago with Modern Warfare 2019, and now do it again after we've kind of had 2 more off years.
Yeah.
And they're I would say that, depending on, I'm based on what I've seen from the beta and everything, I'm sure Modern 2 Warfare is going to be like a big seller, and everyone's going to love it and everything. So I feel like it's pretty safe to say at this point that Infinity Ward is back on top when they had fallen to the bottom at one point. So
yeah. And
so going back to their lowest point is definitely good for the journey to see what they've risen above.
But also,
wait, who did Infinite Warfare then?
Huh?
Who did Infinite Warfare?
Infinity Ward.
Oh. And that's not the lowest point?
No, I think it has its own unique problems that are different from this game, but I think it's like, well, I mean, that's something I will be discussing on my channel coming soon. I even have a teaser video out today, is that I'm going to be talking about all the Infinity Ward campaigns on my channel here over the next 6 weeks. So I will talk about Infinite Warfare. So not to spoil myself too much, but I mean, I think Infinite Warfare is a overall better game than this, but that's not really saying that much. And even then, I think people would also look at it a little higher if in as many years that was the future warfare and all of that. If we had traditional boots on the ground, and then if we got an Infinite Warfare before Advanced Warfare, I think people would look at it differently. But it ended up coming out when it came out, so that also kind of hurts it.
I will also say that retroactively, I get the feeling that Infinite Warfare has more praise to it compared with Ghosts. I mean, you do get, and I do see a fair share of people saying that they really like Ghosts, and I mean, good for them.
I question them, but
I question them, but good for you, and them also, like, man, I wish they'd make a sequel because of that cliffhanger, and I don't necessarily blame them.
Wait,
but
people...
again, also I question it. But
No, there's no way people want that cliffhanger resolved.
Yeah, people people want it resolved. They do.
No.
Yep.
It should
But
stay where it is.
but that's the difference also whenever I see ghosts being brought up versus Infinite Warfare, where whenever someone makes like a Reddit post about COD Ghost, like you do have a lot of people that, oh man, I really enjoyed it game, but then you get
I guarantee you they were younger.
a couple of people about
sure.
maybe about the same amount that go, oh man, that game sucked.
Yeah.
Whereas when someone do a post about Infinite Warfare, I definitely say there's more people that are positive when they talk about it. Probably because the ones that were interested in it actually played it at all, whereas the ones that didn't or weren't interested didn't play it. And also because of the way it's set up, it as Prentice said, it has its own fair share of problems. But I'd say on a general note, it's definitely a better game, if only because it's Black Ops 3 in space.
Yeah.
And Black Ops 3, not counting the campaign, is a decent game.
Mm-hmm.
That
Arguably,
sure is a playable game.
Yeah.
But is that really what you want your game to be remembered as? Decent?
No.
No.
But honestly, the 2013 to about 2018 in Call of Duty, I think is a very dark period for the franchise. So that 6-year
might
span
even be
or whatever
putting a light.
is not a great time for it.
Yeah, that might even be putting it lightly. Actually, how well did it? What about sales those years? They were down, right?
I think sales. Ooh, I like this map too. I think sales were actually still going higher and higher and higher, but then eventually you started seeing the disparity where it's like it'd go high, 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 and then they would drop, and then high, 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 drop. It's like you start seeing a little bit of a wave instead of categorically upward rising.
That, and also I think it also was lower sales for it. At least I know. I think the last time I saw numbers for Ghosts, it was about like 19 million copies or something like that, which is a lot, but also way below any of the Modern Warfare or Black Ops games. And
and also something to keep in mind with this game is that it also came out at the beginning and end of a console generation. So some of those sales are going to have been people getting the game just because it was on the new hardware.
Yeah.
So and it still only sold that much.
Yeah.
As opposed to much more. So
yeah. And like it definitely fluctuated throughout the years, because I'm pretty sure Advanced Warfare did even less. Then Black Ops 3 did a lot better.
Oh, Black Ops 3 was huge.
Yeah, and then
Probably because it had the Black Ops name attached, though.
Yeah.
Because Ghost didn't have Modern Warfare. Advanced Warfare was a new thing. It had the Warfare in there, but Advanced versus Modern Warfare, that's different. There is no actual, other than Call of Duty, there wasn't any brand recognition there. But then Black Ops 3 was Black Ops the Third. There are two others to compare it to. So,
and then of course it went back down again with Infinite Warfare by quite a lot. Then it went back a bit with World War II, I think, at least.
I think there were some people that were kind of like, "Ooh, it's World War II for the first time since 2008, so almost a decade." So I mean, I think people were checking it out because they were interested, and then and then they kind of went, oh, this is just kind of okay, and they dipped.
Yeah. And then Black Ops 4 I actually have no clue about.
Yeah, that's...
Did people?
Yeah, that I'm very curious about that one as well.
When did Black Ops 4 come out? Like, what was the one before that? Was it Infinite Warfare?
No, World War II was before, in 2007.
Hey, give me 1 second. I'm gonna be silent.
Yeah, because it was Black Ops 3, Infinite, World War II, Black Ops 4, and then Modern Warfare 2019. Yeah. Yeah, because it was the 2 back-to-back Battle Royale years.
Yeah. I'm sure it did somewhat well, but I also remember that, even back when it was announced, there was kind of that air of lukewarm reception.
The fact that it didn't have a campaign was a big... there was a lot of talk of no one cares about the campaign, but still, I feel like people buying it were still like, it's missing a whole chunk of game here.
Yeah.
Because even if you're someone that doesn't typically play the campaign, it's at least there if you do want to play it, and that factors into the decision making of it's like that. So you remove an entire third of the game. It's like, okay, so you've removed a third of the game and are still charging the same amount for it.
Yeah.
So I may not play that third of the game ever, but at least I know what I'm paying for.
Yeah, and what ended up essentially as the replacement for that, i.e., Blackout. It's like, is it worth that? The same amount or something like that, and that's probably gonna be extremely individual, but also like,
and then
I don't know.
The fact that and this is something that I think will be discussed in years to come, is that Fortnite kind of ruined the battle royale genre a little bit. It blew it up into the stratosphere and made it more popular than ever. However, the reason it did that is because Fortnite was free.
Yep.
So people going, wait, I have to pay for a battle royale? I don't think so about this. Where PUBG you had to pay for, H1Z1 you had to pay for, a lot of these other battle royales that were coming out you had to pay for. Fortnite got away with being so huge because it was free and is still free. So the fact that Blackout you had to pay for with Black Ops 4 rubbed people the wrong way, and is one of the reasons that helped propel Warzone into mega popularity. Is that it was free, and also it came out at just like perfect. They did not plan this timing.
Yep. It's no coincidence that the other battle royales that took off besides Fortnite are Warzone and Apex Legends, and both were free.
And PUBG has since gone free to play, and has, I think, survived a little bit thanks to that.
Yeah, I think the numbers definitely been up. Oh, come on. I'm gonna have
still
some
a terrible
weird...
game, but I think it survived a little bit longer thanks to that. Because, those, like, stream and a half or whatever that we've done of PUBG, not impressed.
Yeah, no.
That's one of those where it's like, I don't necessarily understand PC master race people. Like, in some cases, I get what they're saying. It's like, oh yeah, especially with like me switching between the desktop and Modern Warfare 3 to capture footage and stuff for my videos. It's like, oh, I can see the appeal here of being able to switch from one to the other quickly, and it's like, and it's just all right there. You don't have to move. And it's like, but it's like the fact that you have to like keep track of drivers, and it's like, oh, is my graphics card? That's it's like, is my graphics card up to stuff? That's just all too complicated. Just give me the box. I'd rather just have the box.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier that way.
And then you get like, and then there's the like free to play, early access games like PUBG that we're seeing and stuff, and it's just and everyone goes, ooh, it's early access, and so but we're paying for the early access, so it's like, ooh, look, but we're getting to help with the development of this game, even though for 4 years it's going to be a broken, janky mess of a game. And it's like, no, thank you. Just when the game's done, sell it to me, please. I feel like that's also something that's rubbed off on the industry as a whole. Is that we can patch it? It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's like it would be nice if it would, work as intended. But that's a whole other discussion for another day.
Yep. I will say, like in terms of going back a little bit on like my thinking process with this game, but this will also lead us maybe more into a discussion of this actual game. And oh my gosh, that ragdoll is creepy. Nope. In some and this feels a little weird, but in some ways, when I look at some of the design choices for like in terms of game design and such, it kind of feels like a proto Modern Warfare 2019 in a few areas. I don't like is that a strong take? I hope it's not.
I think you're. I mean, depending on what you're going to bring up as examples, I think I might end up agreeing with you. But because one of the things I think is definitely is that more personal customization when it comes to who you're playing as. Is like this was the first game where you weren't just some random soldier with an auto generated skin. This was the first game where you could actually choose what your soldier looked like, and they ended up even selling special skins for you to run around in multiplayer for the first time. So that's a feature that definitely we saw more of in Modern Warfare 2019 and in other games. So I think this game needs to take credit, whether or not you think it's good credit or not, for introducing that into the franchise. I like it because I like having, because that was one of the things, because it wasn't Modern Warfare, it was Infinity Ward, which at the time I knew I liked more than Treyarch games, but I was still like, I don't know, this is a new thing, it's not tried and tested. But then they showed off the character customization. I was like, okay, I'm getting it just for that. Just for the kid. It's like that was what sold me on this game, because I'm like, I want to be able to choose what ghost mask my character is wearing. So that was enough to sell me on this. And then I've had an interesting relationship with the game since. But
Spooky ghost masks.
So I think that's definitely a proto Modern Warfare 2019 thing in here. I think also maybe, now they didn't necessarily succeed, and I'm working on a whole video about that, but I mean, they did try to make the story more personable from the get-go and not be as, because the original Modern Warfare trilogy did not start out as being a character-driven, this big connected thing. It was COD 4 has a pretty simple story, and with pretty basic characters, but they're charismatic. So it was enough to allow us to grow to like them over time and get sad when Gaz gets executed on the bridge. And so then as the games went on, you got a little bit more from the characters, and the story got a little bit more involved, to where it ended up kind of evolving into a slightly more character-driven thing, where Ghosts right out of the gate was trying to be character-driven and didn't do so hot at doing it. Actually, but they tried to do that, and that's definitely something I think they carried forward into Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare 2019 to greater success. I think they learned a lot from this title that way they did not repeat their same mistakes. So I think in that way, this game is definitely kind of a proto Modern Warfare 2019. But I'm interested what you have to say about that, Loka.
Yeah, like things I was thinking about, like there are two things that stick out to me when I go, okay, I definitely feel like they had these things in mind when they made Modern Warfare 2019. Oh, is that a Juggernaut? No,
Possibly.
it wasn't. I was wrong. I was just bad.
Because I know Juggernaut kill streaks are in this game.
But like building onto your point of the character customization and the whole squad thing they got going on with this game, where you essentially build your own squad.
Yeah, I liked that. That was cool.
And like it kind of has. I feel like that in combination with a few things kind of feel like it was trying to be, and this is somewhat ironic considering
a ghost of its former self.
No, I was thinking more about my whole earlier semantical point about ghosts being, the setting is, not necessarily very plausible or feasible or realistic or whatever.
Which part specifically? Sorry, I was not there whenever you said that. I had to take a call.
The whole South America is yes. Well, I mean, ironically, the space satellite weapon is like one of the few things about this game that's actually realistic.
Yeah, because that's based on theoretical tech that is actually in development. So
what the crap?
Yeah, no, yeah, the tungsten rods. And shooting them down from orbit. Yeah, no, that's real. That's totally real.
Yeah, the more unrealistic things that are more in terms of the entire of South America decides to band together as the Federation, and they decide
and then no one else in the world comes to the United States' aid and is never mentioned.
Yeah, like at least in Modern Warfare 2 they did as a throwaway line, but it at least somewhat explains in that well, the entire world thinks that the US orchestrated the terrorist attack on Sakaev airport. So okay, they're not gonna come to the aid of the US there because I don't know. In that case, it's justifiable or something like that. But again, just a throwaway line.
Even if they don't agree with Russia invading, they're not gonna necessarily.
Yeah, it's like
come in a system. It's like you've crossed a line by doing this. It's like, well, we don't agree. We don't think they should have invaded, but I mean, you did kind of accidentally create terrorists. It's like it's from the world point of view, even though they anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know. Even then, I highly doubt that. But who knows?
I mean that's kind of almost a whole other can of worms in terms of the Modern Warfare games being actually real plot-wise, but that's. I mean, Ghosts, I'd say, definitely takes it to the whole other level with this whole Federation thing that invades the US, and then you have this entire 10-year-old war that's fought through in over 10 years, and it's a stalemate, and it kind of has a more post-apocalyptic feeling. So it's like, okay, it's definitely a bit more again, not necessarily the correct term, but a bit more fantastical in terms of what it's trying to go for. And I
still think the word you're looking for is idiotic, but whatever.
Again, it's really the execution that kills it all. Because idea-wise, I do feel like, okay, there are some interesting ideas here, but to kind of come back to the point I've been trying to make in like, okay, why is this Proto Modern Warfare 19 in some sense? Well, because despite the setting, I feel like the core gameplay kind of sort of took more cues from COD 4 than the other Modern Warfare games in trying to make things slightly more tactical. Like, for instance, the fact that you have this peek thing that you can peek out from
the
cover.
peek that a couple of games played with that year.
So like little things like that, movement, I'd say as well, and the other definite Proto Modern Warfare 19, I definitely say, is the larger maps, because that's something we've also seen with 19, except the bigger maps actually has more players, which makes them more playable.
Yeah, that was one of the big issues with this, is that they made bigger maps, but then they never opened up the lobby sizes. It was all the typical 6v6. So yeah, that's why when we went to the Stonehenge map or whatever, we were like, oh, it's the best map in the game, because it was the worst, because it's the biggest map in the game and there's only 12 people on it.
Have I ever told you my story with ghosts?
I don't believe so.
Nope.
Not with, and if you have, I don't remember it based on a vague statement like that.
Hang on. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Wow, wait totally bait us there with, it's like, hey, here's a story. Never mind.
At this point, I'm just going at the map. So, oh yeah, I remember this one. I have a vague recollection of this. And I'd say that the entire, we're making the maps bigger, and like there's somewhat more emphasis on slightly more tactical gameplay. My guess is that this was an attempt to make things, less chaotic and a bit more tactical. Where having the same amount of players aren't gonna cause necessarily some of the chaos that you may see in Modern Warfare 2 or something, but definitely a bit of overcompensation on that part, because because the end result is now a game where there's where a good chunk of these maps there isn't anything happening instead, which is not really
just empty space.
Yeah, which is not really what you want to have in a game, like in COD specifically, and especially not when you're known for the other thing. Even Battlefield, when they decided with 2042 to have bigger maps, they also increased player size, because there's no other way to do it if you're gonna have bigger maps. Although I guess maybe the player count was the thing they decided for first before bigger maps, and then decided to make. I don't know where I'm really going with this, but
it's okay. Hey, sorry, I keep getting calls, and they're actually important, which sucks. I can't just brush them off. Okay, so I used to have a friend that he used to love Call of Duty Ghosts. Oof. I do not know why. He loved it though. And guess what the one map we had to play every time was?
The really big castle one.
Yep.
Of course.
Oh.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yep. So, yeah. That one, and then there's one map that was, like, rainy and stuff. And I can't remember what the name was called. It had a very, like, rainy environment. That's all I remember. It was in this metropolitan area. Then there was one in like a mine with like train tracks and the mine carts and stuff.
Enemy SATCOM spotted.
Can I remember any of the names of these maps? No. I just know that they exist. Anyway, I've got to get going. You guys have fun?
Fun question mark.
We will strive to have good conversation.
Yep.
Whether or not it is fun, you know.
Okay.
Oh, you killed me.
Well, all I...
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I am on the other team.
I didn't
I have
realize
pulled a
that.
I have pulled. Well, you've killed me like 3 times already and didn't mention it, so I was
Oh,
curious.
I have not paid any attention.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I decided to pull a Rourke and I switched teams. So I thought it'd just spice things up a little bit
Oh,
since we have the option.
that's good. I would have made a suggestion probably.
Yeah. Yeah, have fun. Watch out for snakes. And I will see you guys Sunday.
Wait, what?
Modern Warfare 2, yay!
Yay!
Yay! Also, Prentice, please play on the PS5. There is crossplay.
No,
think.
yeah, I know, I will for sure.
Yeah, and then I do recommend the FOV gets changed a little. Those are my only recommendations. And then, yeah. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Boy.
That is probably something we should verify. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's crossplay with between the generations, but still.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if that wasn't the case, because I mean, I'm pretty sure there's cross-gen
SATCOM uplink enabled.
on both Vanguard and Cold War.
Yeah. So.
At least I'm pretty sure about Vanguard, because I know that there's a lot of players that on my team that load in faster in the match than I do.
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning of the start, you're supposed to see this short little cinematic with all the operators from your team kind of standing together. And I rarely see that, because when I get into
Everyone
the match,
else is already running.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I know, because I know there's the different SKUs and versions of the game, because I know, like, when like getting the beta codes or whatever, it's like if you had them sent to you, then there was one for PS4 and one for PS5 if you pre-order a PlayStation. But I think that's just, I mean, you can't download a PS5 game on your PS4, so I mean, that's, so I think it's just for that. I don't think it's just for whichever system you actually own. So. A question I want to know the answer to is when did you get this game?
I don't remember specifically. I think it might have been. It was definitely not around the time when the game came out, and I don't remember exactly, but I think it might have been 2015, I want to guess.
Oh wow, a couple years after, okay.
Yeah. And even then it wasn't necessarily because I'm like, oh, I really want to buy Ghost. It was more that my brother or my younger brother had just, well, not just, but like he had kind of had this long road to become a gamer. So that was around the time when he and I was playing a lot of.
I directed back at you.
Oh my god!
I was not aiming for you at all, as you can see as you can tell in the kill cam.
Oh, that's that's hysterical.
Talk about unlucky.
Yeah.
SATCOM spotted.
So yeah, I basically just picked this up so that me and him could play this split screen, because we had played several of the other COD games, and also so that we, or you know, like where I would play the campaign and he would watch it, like watch while I was playing it, because it was still somewhat early. So that was really the only reason I even got Ghosts, because I don't know if I had really bothered otherwise. Although I don't know, I suppose I've always had some sort of morbid curiosity about this game ever since it released. So I suppose it's possible I would have picked it up later down the line still, but again, it wasn't high on my priority list.
I actually got this game on launch day. Which is one of those things I look back on and go, why? But it was, you know, I still kind of have a special association with that, because so there for a couple years there were several games that came out on voting day, which, you know, and just that's just how it, but it wasn't national election voting day, it was all, you know, state stuff.
Okay.
And so that just happened. So it just happened to. That's just how it happened to fall. And so my high school was actually a polling place. So on voting day, we got the day off.
Huh.
Because, you know, you can't have school in session when there's a whole bunch of random people from the community just trekking through. So, you know, that's kind of a security no. So we'd get the day off from school that day. So it was a weird week, because we'd go Monday, we wouldn't go Tuesday, but then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday back in school. So it would be a 4-day week, but it would be an odd for you know, short week, because it's in the middle of the week. So this game was coming out, and it happened to fall on voting week. So we were out with because it's, you know, like, because I was a freshman in high school when this game came out, so I couldn't drive yet. My sister was even younger, so it's like we had to actually still have someone looking after us. So my grandparents came over. We went to the mall. My sister and my grandma did some shopping. I went to the GameStop that was there, and I was kind of debating on whether or not to. I mean, I had said that, you know, the character customization had clinched it for me, that I would get this. But I didn't know if I'd get it at launch or not, or if I'd wait until, like, you know, as a Christmas gift or something. Well, I mean, we're already at the mall. I'm at the GameStop. There's a billion copies of this all over the shelves. Why not?
Yeah.
So, picked it up, launch day for the PS3. You know, took it home and started playing the campaign. My grandpa actually watched me play, like, the first hour of the campaign, which I was surprised by. I'm like, you're watching me play a video game? It's like, I mean, it was story based and stuff. So, I mean, you know, because it's a campaign. So, I mean, he was kind of following along and everything. So I have some kind of fond memories of it from that perspective. But then I have some not so fond memories, like, immediately afterward, because I'm like, all right, time to try the multiplayer. And a couple months earlier, I had angrily returned Black Ops 2, because the multiplayer on PS3 at the time was just infested with quick-scoping campers. It's like that's all you would ever encounter on the PS3 servers. So I finally had enough. I returned it, and I was like, well, I hope that Ghost will be better. Ghost was not better, because that's just what the community was like at the time. So you know, I was just kind of frustrated with it, and you know, I played the campaign and tried multiplayer for a little while, but put it down because I'm still just so frustrated with it, with all the quick scoping campers, blah. But cue a couple months later, I wake up one Saturday morning, sit down, to watch morning cartoons or whatever, and there's a great big old present in a gift box just sitting in front of the TV. In my not so awake state, I'm like, this is in my way. I went to watch TV, so I just moved it without investigating to see what it was. My dad heard the TV, came downstairs to investigate to see that I was up, and he sees the present just sitting there off to the side while I'm watching Transformers or something. I don't remember what I was watching. And he's like, "Did you not want to see what's in your package?" I'm like, "Oh, this was for me. I didn't even think about it." So I open it, and it's a PlayStation 4. So, because that was the launch month of the PS4 back in the day. So we got the PS4 fired up, and inside the PS4, it came with a $10 voucher to automatically upgrade a PS3 game to the PS4 version if you had the new version that was also one of the cross-gen games. So the only one I had was Call of Duty Ghosts. So got the upgrade for Ghosts and played multiplayer on there. And since it was people that were older that were able to buy the new console or whatever, for the most part, the multiplayer at that time was actually pretty fun. It was not the Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. It's real, everything's really going crazy here. But I mean, it was a fun, balanced time without hardly any quick scoping at all. So I was happy about that. And I was like, you know what, this isn't half bad. And even, the game overall gets a lot of flack, but I don't think this multiplayer is horrible. It's certainly not the best Call of Duty has ever put out, but I don't think it's horrible.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
You can have some fun with it. So then I had fun with it, but then I think it was like March of 2014, April of 2014, somewhere in there. That's when the console was more readily available, and all the quick scopers appeared, and that was the end of Ghosts for me. I uninstalled it shortly after that, and I did not reinstall it until recently. And I almost had like a little mini heart attack because I didn't since I have the PS3 version with the upgrade to the PS4, I don't have the PS4 disc. So I was like, how is this going to work years later, after the fact? So what do I have to do here? So I put the disc in, and it said it couldn't read it because it was a PS3 disc, which, okay, makes sense. So then I went to the library, not an actual physical library, but, the library you have on the console. And then I found it's like all my owned games and stuff. And so I found Ghosts, and then I hit the download, but then it wants me to download the DLC. And I don't see the actual option for the game anywhere. I'm like, please tell me that the $10 upgrade was a one-time thing only, and if you uninstalled the game, then it was rendered null. So I had a little panic. I'm like, please tell me I do not have to go to GameStop and buy a $12 copy of Ghost for the PS4 to do this video. But I went ahead and accepted the download for the DLC, and then it started downloading the full game with the DLC. It was just asking if I wanted to download the DLC to go along with the main download. I was like, it was just not clear enough. We're okay. And so I felt very, very relieved by that. Because I would love to, because I would just be so hysterical. I would think, where it's like years later, I'm going through my video game collection, and right there you see PS3 Ghosts, PS4 Ghosts. I'm like, yeah, and I certainly wasn't going to buy it off of the PSN because it's still $60 on the PSN. So
yeah, it ain't cheap.
No. Granted, though, it is like the gold edition or whatever that comes with all the DLC. So I mean, it's it is the complete version of the game. It's not just the base. So I mean, there is that, I suppose, but still, it's like $60 for Ghosts in 2022. Are you kidding me? No.
Ooh, double. Yeah, I knew exactly where that story was gonna go with the PS4. Although I can't help but feel that you missed a very important detail. When you opened the present, who was staring at you?
Knack. Yeah, no, I have definitely told that story before.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told it on your channel though, but Yeah, but no, it was funny that, you know, the first thing I see is Max staring me in the face.
If memory serves, it was back when we played the Battlefield 1 beta.
Oh, I think you're right. Gosh, that's forever ago. That was like our second ever game night or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's a long time ago.
Oh my gosh, what's that? A grey hair? What
Yeah.
the?
Yeah.
Guess this one's fine from my memory.
I don't think I got another PS4 game until I think because it was Ghosts on launch day in November, and then I don't think I got another one until like
Team deathmatch.
I want to say it was like January. I got Assassin's Creed 4 for my birthday.
Time to work, Ghost Squad.
So, and then after that, it was another long. Wait, hold on. When? Well, no. I don't think I got Assassin's Creed 4 until the following, until the start of 2015. Because, and then I think the second PS4 game I got was Infamous Second Son. Because of course I had played the first two, and I loved it. I still love Infamous. It's like that's the sole reason I have not played Ghost of Tsushima, because I'm like, I didn't want them to do this. I wanted more Infamous.
I also still haven't played Ghost of Tsushima.
Speaking of ghosts, eh?
Yeah, nice. Just a quick side note, I also just remembered another thing about this game, that it's a very small thing in comparison, but definitely, that's something that they did in Modern Warfare 19 as well, and even I think Black Ops 4 did it as well, and definitely Cold War and Vanguard, because they follow the same weapon categories as Modern Warfare, because Warzone, but tactical rifles, or I think it may be called marksman rifles in this game, that kind of is this I guess they're kind of like, okay, this is a weapon that isn't necessarily a sniper, but is also a sniper. I feel like I'm not making any sense.
No. I understand the difference between a sniper and a marksman.
Yeah, like in something like Modern Warfare, you would have
it's the semi-automatic rifles that shoot the larger round.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the EB14 or whatever it is that you use in all gillied up. And stuff.
Exactly. Again, like a very small thing in comparison to the other, but that's kind of like, hang on a second, that's actually kind of interesting. They did that again, and I guess that's what it's gonna be from now on.
Ready for direction. Mark the DZ. They destroyed your SATCOM. Enemy SATCOM spotted.
Oh. Random grenade.
Ah, no! No! Call my dog, I get killed. I watch the dog get killed in the
Oh no.
in the fall down cam. Oh!
Mission failed. This won't happen again.
Oh, he stole my kill! Rude. I swapped my pistol because it's faster than reloading and it cost me the kill.
Oh! Oh no! Oh no! I'm seeing the names of one of the bots on my team!
Hamilton, McCool, Olsen, Johnson, Kilbook. Oh, Corona! Look at that! Well, you know it's not the real Corona because he had a terrible KDR.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's hysterical. Oh. So I think map-wise, it might just be one more potentially good one to go. So do we want to end on this one?
Sure. Why not?
Because I think we've kind of exhausted really all there is to talk about ghosts in
Yeah.
like in relation to this road to Modern Warfare 2, because it really was on a free fall.
It was. I mean, because there's other stuff that we could talk about, like, you know, words I'm trying to think of. Extinction. That's it. Because there's Extinction to talk about. That's a whole can of worms that could be opened up, because that was Infinity Ward. You know, it's like, because I don't know if anyone really likes Extinction or if it was really a successful experiment, but I give them credit for experimenting with it as opposed to Infinite Warfare, where they just gave in and did zombies.
Yeah.
And it's the only time they've ever done zombies, and it's like, granted, I actually kind of liked that zombies map that they had. That was the base game, you know, like theme park one. That was actually kind of cool. I kind of enjoyed the 80s theme to it, but
it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was fine. But you know, I'm also not a big zombies person, so
same.
But so I mean, you know, Extinction is something that can be talked about. That's a whole can of worms. But you know, in terms of the road to Modern Warfare, it's not really relevant. The campaign is definitely something, you know, worth talking about, to the point where I am making a half-hour-long video solely about the campaign. So, and I don't want to talk about it here right now because, you know, because there's so many things that I would love to say about how that video is turning out, and things that I'm saying about the campaign stuff. But you know, I don't want to spoil it, because I think it's going to be better if you just watch it when it comes out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. And like, as I said, like I'm really looking forward to that series, but specifically the Ghosts video, because I'm really curious what things you're gonna bring up, and also how you're gonna make fun of that game.
Well, and it's like, not to get into specifics, but there's like a couple things where I'm in the middle of editing right now. I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot to mention this. I'm like, oh, but this would be a good point to bring up when I'm talking about Infinite Warfare, to compare the two. So, you know, it kind of works out that I didn't mention it here, because, you know, it is going to be a series of videos that kind of feed into one another. So it's not going to be, so it's like they're not going to exist in a vacuum. So if I forget to mention something in one place, I can definitely bring it up in another later on down the line. And one thing I'll say that I'm just really happy about is that there's a moment where I'm bringing in a clip from a movie to go over footage of something that's happening in the game. And there's a moment where it's like, and I'm removing the game audio and putting the movie audio over it. But there's a moment where a character in the game is making a certain motion that you would think would require a sound effect, and then the character in the movie is doing a different motion but has a similar sound effect that seems fitting to the situation, and it's just as long as the motion the character makes in the game. So it's just a perfect editing moment where it lines up perfectly and it seems very natural, like the character in the game makes that noise even though that is the character from the movie making that noise and not the game. So it's just like, oh, that turned out so well, I'm so happy with it. So there's a lot of stuff like that in the Ghost video especially that I'm really happy with in the way it's turning out. So
that is genuinely exciting to hear, and I definitely love those moments where, you know, editing wise, it just comes together in a extremely beautiful way.
It's one of those editing moments where you just kind of sit there and you bounce in your chair a little bit, going, "This is so good."
Yeah, it's moments like that that make me go, "Huh, I guess I'm not bad at this after all."
Yeah. Well, see, I'm the same way when it comes to like when I write scripts for like a stop motion or something like that, and I'm like, is this good? Does this story turn make sense? And it's like, does this dialogue sound good? I'm like, well, just remember that someone got paid millions of dollars to write somehow Palpatine. Yeah. So, you know.
Ooh. Haha.
So I don't know if you noticed, but I did teabag you there at the end because that is actually that's one of the contracts.
Oh!
It's one of the field contract is to humiliate the next enemy you kill.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's like Call of Duty Ghosts actually encourages teabagging.
Yeah.
Take that as you will. Ooh, close one.
Oh, that was extremely close. I'm also the one that dies.
Oh no.
Which means
you're in the middle of reloading, so.
Yeah. Which means since, you know, I'm not alive anymore, it's time for me to become a ghost.
Ooh.
So yeah, that was Call of Duty Ghosts. Sorta kinda detour, considering the original outline and also the fact that Daxter was allegedly busy but still here, and then had to do his busy thing. But I feel it worked out overall. And a bit of a shorter stream this one, but I don't think we can really. There's only so much ghosts we can
handle.
Play. Yeah.
Really quick before we do go, I do want to pose the question, because I think this is certainly in the running, but what do we think is the worst Call of Duty?
Ooh.
Because I think a lot of people would put this on that list for sure. If it's not the worst, it's one of the worst.
I might actually be in that camp because I think I don't think I've really put too much thought into this, but I have kind of my own internal grading for a lot of the games I play. Well, at least I used to. I don't really think I have that. Like I don't actually have a numbers rating that I give. Like to say 2042, I don't think I've given an internal one, and also because that's also an example of, you know, game released in not in a great state, but it's improving, so that does improve the overall score, so to say. But COD Ghosts has always been on the lower end of the scale for me. Like I've
Yeah.
at least back in the day, I put a 6 out of 10 as an overall score for this game, and which does put it in the good camp in terms of the score numbers. But a lot of that is also due to the fact that, well, it, you know, and this goes for really all COD games, like they do get the most basic thing right. A good shooter with fluid controls and everything like that. So like there's always a sense of, you know, COD games are good, like in terms of games, but then you have bad COD games.
Yeah.
Which I suppose to kind of make a slight comparison to, which I don't think I actually brought up with when we played Battlefield 4, and I talked about how even Ace Combat had, you know, tried to emulate this, where that game was kind of always labeled as a decent game but a bad Ace Combat. So Ghost has been a 6 out of 10 for me, and there's only been one other COD game on that, like that low, and that's Finest Hour that was sorta kinda the console version of the original COD, but also its own different game. It used a lot of the same assets and general structure, but it wasn't a complete, it's literally the original PC game, but on console, like, no, it actually had different levels and characters. Like it had, yeah, it was basically its own game, even though it was reusing a lot of assets. And for me, like that might actually be the one I'd say is, you know, the worst COD game I played, because it's been a couple of years since I played it, so memory's a little fuzzy, but the main thing is that just moving and shooting in that game feels off. It's kind of like you're moving like through, like when you're just walking normally, it feels like you're plowing through maple syrup or something like that.
That's not good.
Yeah. So that's, you know, strike one.
Yeah.
And a very
especially
big strike.
for Call of Duty, which is always supposed to be, you know, it's always supposed to be this very fluid game.
Yeah.
Like Siege kind of feels like that, but it's designed to be like that because it's supposed to be slower.
Yeah.
So it works for that game, but you know, for a Call of Duty game, even back then, is definitely not a good thing.
Yeah, like the only sort of excuse I can throw to that is that, well, it was the first COD on a console, since the original COD was a PC exclusive.
Yeah.
And to be fair as well, like that game had a extremely, like, lots of problems in its development, and also a extremely short one. So I think
surprise.
Yeah, so I think it might have been like 6 months or something like that.
Oh gosh.
Like it was insanely low. But and also another thing was that it had, and to be fair, even the original COD has this problem where it's really cheap with checkpoints. And I remember this moment specifically in Finest Hour. Like I was on the final mission, and that's also another thing. Another problem with that game is that the difficulty was all over the place.
Oh no.
And I was playing on normal difficulty, but some of the missions felt like pushing through on veteran. It was that
Oh
bad.
gosh. Oh gosh.
And it part of that mostly also stems from the fact that the game would not throw you a bone with checkpoints. For instance, I didn't get a checkpoint for the entire final mission, and I don't remember if I was just about... No. I was about to get to the final objective where you're supposed to get on a flak turret and shoot down some German planes. And I was making my... I don't remember if it was the fact that, I couldn't get through this because I hadn't cleared the area of all enemies. So I had essentially gone through the entire mission. And killed all enemies but one.
Oh no.
That I guess was some Ubermensch or something, because he just punched me to death. And then I had to start over. And it wasn't a short mission.
Rage quit.
Yeah, that definitely. So yeah, you know, going through all that again, I definitely reinforces that. Yeah, finest hour, worst COD I've ever played, because as bad as ghosts are in some places, at least it wasn't, you know, a rage quit game at times.
I hesitate to even wonder what my answer is, even though I'm the one that asked the question. I'm the one that posed the question, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to answer. It's like, because I haven't played all of them, so I feel bad kind of rendering and in the game, and even some of the games that I have sort of kind of played, I haven't played all of them, all the entirety of the game. For instance, Black Ops 4. I played Blackout a couple times, especially because once when they had a free weekend, and then a couple years later when it was free on PS Plus, and we did Blackout again for a game night. But I've never touched the zombies mode in there, and I've never touched the multiplayer mode in there. Same with World War II, where I've never played zombies, I've never played multiplayer, I just played the campaign. So I kind of even have to exclude those from the list.
Yeah. I suppose by that definition, I've never played Finest Hours multiplayer, which it apparently has, but since it's a PS2 game, it's...
Oh, yeah.
You know, it probably wasn't very good to begin with.
Yeah. So, I think maybe of the ones I've played, it's maybe... thinking about it now, it's maybe Ghosts. But its campaign at least has a couple redeeming factors, and there is some cool stuff that at least tried to do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Black Ops 3 campaign is horrendously bad. Worse than Ghosts. The multiplayer was surprisingly good, but I don't care about zombies.
Yeah.
So it's like that's an entire third of the game that's basically just dead to me. So maybe it's a toss up between Black Ops 3 and 4, or Black Ops 3 and Ghosts. But again, I still had a pretty fun time with the multiplayer in 3, so I feel bad saying that. So it's like I don't even. It's like, but you know the answer I just wanted to say immediately. It's like, what is the worst Call of Duty? Just to throw out there. Immediately, just the first thing that came to my head.
And what's that?
Vanguard. Which I know, I think the reason I think that is because of what I have played, because of the beta, and I know beta and finished product aren't necessarily always totally compatible. because it's a prior build. They fix things as time goes on. Is that I think it comes down to the gunplay for me, where there's something about, even though it's the Modern Warfare 2019 engine, which I love and the way that Modern Warfare 2019 works, it didn't feel the same. It felt like a cheap imitation of it, despite being the same engine. Sledgehammer just was not able to figure out the little tricks that Infinity Ward did to make all of those guns feel so good and responsive in 2019. And so it's like, because I mean, a machine, the MG42 or what, the big, classic German machine gun, that should not feel like an SMG. I feel like when I've used it in Vanguard and stuff, it feels like an SMG. It's just big and bulky. It's just a big bulky SMG. So I think that's because of the way it spits rounds all over the place, and it's not really that much heavier. I don't think because you run around with one of the LMGs from Modern Warfare, you're slow, you're heavy because you got this great big 100-pound piece of metal spitting death, that you're having to haul around with a big box mag. But carrying that thing around in Warzone, it does not really encumber your mobility much at all, which I don't think is necessarily the way that should be working. Or at least if it does, it doesn't feel like it the same way that the Modern Warfare weapons feel. And then, of course, its live service has introduced things like Godzilla versus Kong, and all these other wacky, weird events that are just straying further and further from what I like. So it's like I know you enjoy it kind of for what it is or isn't. It's like you seem to have like a weird, not love-hate relationship with it, but a love-tolerate relationship with it. Let's say.
Yeah. That
so I
sounds
don't
about right.
I don't like saying that it's like it's the first thing, but it's like just for its kind of impact, or shall I say even less than impact it's had on Call of Duty, because I feel like when in 5-10 years, whenever we look back at and it's like, oh, let's rank the top 25 COD games, because there will be 25 COD games here shortly. I think Vanguard's going to be pretty low on the list because everyone's just kind of going to go meh, and even something like Ghosts or Advanced Warfare, I think will maybe be treated as a little higher because they at least tried some things. Because Advanced Warfare was the first advanced movement. Ghosts tried some things unsuccessfully, but at least it tried them. In a couple places with the multiplayer, and Extinction was an experimental, different take on zombies because it wasn't zombies, but it was at the same time. So it's I don't know. It's always a fascinating discussion to try to rank games in a long running series like this, especially when like its first 4 or 5 games weren't even really that big, and then it had the one game that launched it into mass popularity with COD 4. So
yeah, and I sort of kind of agree with Vanguard actually. Like it. As you said, I definitely have a love-tolerate relationship with that game, but it's definitely incredibly weird for me to really rank that because of how weird of a game it has ended up being, and that's probably where I kind of go where, okay, if the game had been more consistent with what it was going for back when it launched and the first 2 seasons, then I'd think it would have been, the end result, it would have still been, oh, this probably wouldn't have been memorable at all, which the fact that they pivoted so far away from what Vanguard originally was definitely speaks to that point. But if it had been more consistent, then I'd say it would have ended up being, okay, this wasn't a memorable game. It would definitely have ended up just being among, okay, these were one of the bad or mediocre ones. Whereas now it's I don't even know where to place Vanguard because of everything that's been happening.
Yeah,
And even then, because like the core gameplay is fine. I mean, it's no Modern Warfare 19. I definitely.
But it's in the same
agree
engine, so
there.
you would think it would at least be on par with that.
Yeah, which is definitely what I was hoping for, and then somewhat disappointed by seeing that. Oh, this looks like a game in the Modern Warfare 19 engine, but it doesn't feel like. Well, it does kind of feel like that, but also not. Like
Because there's like
weird.
field upgrades and stuff, and in the UI it looks like a more simplified World War II version of the Modern Warfare UI. So I mean, it definitely, if you were to look at it, you would think, yeah, definitely, you would think and just assume it would feel exactly the same, but it doesn't. So
yeah,
it's kind of weird that way.
Yeah, on a surface level, it's like, oh yeah, this is Modern Warfare 19 but World War II. But then when you get into the details, like like the feeling of weapon handling and even movement, where it's definitely faster than Modern Warfare, and it's actually funny you said earlier that where you think that Ghosts or Advanced Warfare is probably gonna end up more memorable, or at the very least acknowledged more than Vanguard. And I was actually thinking about that question, and before the stream, as something like a bit of we're going back to when we were talking about Ghosts, and kind of like how when you see posts on Reddit pop up about Ghosts, you kind of see some people that actually enjoy this game and they want the sequel and everything. And it has, I don't know, I guess a cult following.
I think in terms of Call of Duty fans, yeah, it definitely has a cult following.
Yeah.
I'd say that's accurate.
So the question I was thinking about, throwing out, before the stream was like, say like 10 years from now, because it's insane to think that next year is gonna be the 10th anniversary of this particular game. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like
this year it's going to be 10 years of Black Ops 2.
Yep. But say, like, hypothetically, like 10 years from now, are there gonna be this small cult following for Vanguard, like you see for Ghosts or Infinite Warfare?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, possible, yes, but I don't know. Like right now, I mean, it's hard to say, but right now I kind of have the same feeling as when people are talking about the Star Wars trilogies, where I've seen some people go, like the prequels had its fair share of problems, but it kind of cultivated a cult following of sorts. Although I'd say it's definitely bigger than a cult following. But then I go to prequel.
It's its own designated fan base.
Yeah, exactly. And I see some people already now trying to like say that, with the prequels it made sense because while the execution was flawed, they had good ideas,
good story,
and everything. Yeah. And then trying to see like, okay, will the sequel trilogy be gain the same level of respect, I suppose, years from now? And some people are already saying that no, it's not gonna happen. I'm a little bit more optimistic about that.
I think they will, because it's like we've talked about the sequels ad nauseum and how it's like, oh, they could have done this better, they could have done that better. I think in a lot of ways that people are even going to come out of the woodwork sooner for the sequels, because it's like, Okay, so the story may have not been thought out very well. That's unfortunate, considering Star Wars is mostly renowned for its good storytelling in most cases. But at least there was some interesting ideas, and to look at because this is one of the things that I really had an epiphany on when I was working on my video for the Skywalker saga. Is that in looking at all the recreations of all these shots from the sequel trilogy in Lego, I'm like, you know what? Those were good-looking movies.
Yeah.
Those were good-looking movies that I don't know if they will age as quickly as, say, some of the CG stuff in Attack of the Clones has aged not great. It's like there's a lot of stuff in the prequels that has aged far better than people give it credit for, but there's also some stuff that's like, yeah, that doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
But because they did so much of the sequels practically, that I think, and just like shot composition and cinematography and stuff, there's going to be a lot of stuff where it's like, I think they will age better. I mean, there's an entire version of The Last Jedi you can watch available with the Blu-ray where it's just the soundtrack. It's just the musical track from John Williams.
Huh.
They cut the dialogue, I think the sound effects, everything. It is just the John Williams music. And so I think if there's a scene with no music, I think they maybe do a fade or something, so it's a little shorter. But on the Blu-ray, you can watch the entire movie with just the music, and it's basically like a live. It would essentially be like a live opera or something, a live silent opera being played or something, because and especially for scenes like Snoke's throne room with all the red curtains and everything. It's like that is so visually striking that I think that is going to be one of the things that people will dig their heels at about when it comes to sequels in another 5 years or so. And that's another reason why I think it'll happen quicker, is that people that were 10 years old when Phantom Menace came out, or when Revenge of the Sith came out, they had to grow up, and the internet kind of had to grow up with them. But people that were 10 years old when Force Awakens came out, the internet's established. So they are, Force Awakens came out 7 years ago. So people that were 10 when Force Awakens came out are 17 now. So, they are going to, very soon start getting into Reddit threads and YouTube comment sections and stuff. And they're going to develop more critical thinking skills, and they will I think they'll start making some of these arguments. It's like, at least they were good to look at. It's like, you can't necessarily say the same thing about some of the prequels, or even some of the stuff from the originals. Like, there's a couple things in, it's like some of the, stuff from the originals that it's like, especially, it's like, and this is one of the things where, like, it's a good thing we got the special editions, because people are going, it's like, oh, we should just have the original theatrical releases, no alterations whatsoever. It's like, okay, well, those movies would look really bad nowadays, so it's a good thing that you got the special editions, because it's like they made some unnecessary changes, sure, but it's like the films overall are preserved better and look better than they would otherwise. So, but I mean, anyway, that's kind of a side tangent now. But so, getting back to COD, I think that will there be a cult following for Vanguard? I don't know about that, because I think one of the reasons there is kind of a cult following for Ghosts is that for some people, Ghosts was their first COD game.
Yeah,
you always fondly
true.
remember your first COD game, whether or not it's like, I was lucky enough to where Black Ops was my first COD game, and that's like an overall good game. Yeah. It's like, I don't think there's anything in that game that anyone goes, no, this was bad. It's like, good campaign, good multiplayer, good zombies mode. And it's like, and granted, I really only ever played 5, but I mean, that was a good zombies map, and it had like these funny versions of historical U.S. political figures and Fidel Castro just for chuckles. But so it's like overall good game. But for some people, I think they have this fondness for Ghosts because it was their first COD game. So imagine this being your first COD game and it ends on that cliffhanger, and it now being 10 years, and you never get that resolution to your first COD game. I can understand that. I can understand wanting that, and it's like this infamous cliffhanger getting cleared up. But with Vanguard, I don't know if Vanguard is actually anyone's first Call of Duty game, because Warzone is a thing that exists. I think for a lot of people, they probably played Warzone for free first. And because it's like, because now, because you know, like 12 years old is right around the age people start playing Call of Duty, and that's kind of been the case for years now. Yeah, that was the case when I started playing it. I was 12 years old when I got Black Ops 13, something like that. So
I think I was around the same age, something like that.
So at the time, you know, it's like, oh, can I please get this $60 mature rated game? You know, that's something you got to convince your parents about. But with Warzone, you don't need to do as much of the convincing because it's free.
Yeah,
and it's
download.
online. Yeah, so it's like, well, yeah, it's rated M, but a lot of the bad stuff is just like the language, and so we can just turn off the voices, and then a lot of the other languages in the game is from people on their mics, so I can just always keep a headset on, or I can mute them, so we don't have to hear it in the house, and it's free. So I feel like that's a much smaller barrier to entry for you know, people getting into COD now, especially like I said, when it launched at the perfect Warzone launching at the perfect time, COVID, and you know, it's like in Modern Warfare 2019 was huge. So I think that was probably and even then, when, you know, with the Cold War integration and everything, I feel like a lot of kids wanting to jump in and, you know, hearing stuff about this and like maybe seeing stuff about it, and that's a whole other thing that we didn't have. You know, going back to the way the internet has changed things, is that, you know, it's like, I bet you some of the games that we got involved with were games that our friends played, that, you know, like we were over at their house and we saw them play it, and so we wanted to play it too, and then we got the game and we ended up enjoying it for the same or different reasons that they enjoyed it. But now kids are getting into games because they're seeing people play them on the internet. So how many of these kids started playing Warzone? Play Warzone, and that's the reason they want to play Warzone, and so Warzone becomes their first COD, and then they get like Vanguard is the new one that comes out, so they want the new one to go with Warzone. But you know, but that doesn't make Vanguard maybe the first one they buy, but not their actual first playing experience. So I think that's going to potentially seriously detract from, in the future, anyone really looking back too fondly on Vanguard. There will be some, for sure, but as much as there are for Ghosts now, or some of the other, you know, what people would consider to be lesser COD games, it's like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, like that. Obviously, it's very hard to predict, but just based on the game and the sentiment of the community, like there is, I don't know, like with the pulse of the community, like even the ones that's actually playing Vanguard, like it's not a very great pulse. So it's, and like even comparing with Cold War, which I would also agree was kind of a off year for COD, but I have. I mean, that game I do also enjoy, actually, but that game I definitely can see more why people would enjoy that more than, say, Modern Warfare 19. I don't understand that. Well, it's kind of ironic the way I said it, but like I sort of get it, where I can see, okay, if you're someone that didn't like Modern Warfare 19, then I can see Cold War being better received from that person.
And that's the thing, is that there are just so many Call of Duty fans out there that there's the different camps. So
yeah.
So there are definitely people that enjoy Treyarch's approach more than they enjoy Infinity Ward's approach. So yeah, they're not going to like Modern Warfare 2019 as much. But we're more in the Infinity Ward camp, so we liked the more realistic take on it that was slower paced and everything. Because like when I made that best of moments video a couple weeks back, and I put or not, no, it was just last week. It's just last week time. You know, I put that up last week, and I was going through and editing that. and there were clips that I was going through, and it's like the headquarters mode. Remember the headquarters mode? It's like right around the launch of the game, the first couple weeks. We were on. Oh shoot! One complaint about Modern Warfare 2019: the map names, a little forgettable. But it's got the big Ferris wheel in the background in the map loading screen. You know the one I'm talking about, and it's kind of got the bombed out shops and stuff. I think it's supposed to be in or near Verdansk or something. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I always go, ooh, I like this map, and I like that map. And it's got the big tank sitting there in the middle of the street, and you could run up and jump on it and use it to get into one of the windows. Anyway, we were on that map and we were playing headquarters, and the headquarters had showed up in one of the bombed out shops, and so we were running toward it, and we stacked up and mounted up on the wall, and I said cover me, and then and someone popped up in the window right as that happened. So you started firing. I moved up, got into cover, got mounted up on the little flower bed thing, and I got the guy in the window that you were keeping suppressed. Then there was two other guys that showed up I could see in the shop. So I shot them, and since that was the headquarters, there was no response once the headquarters was up. They were down and dead for the count. So and then I got the chopper gunner from that, and then I called that and wiped the rest of them out. We rushed in and got the headquarters. Just that tactical feel of you covered me, I moved up, took cover, took them out. Then we were able to move up together as a fire team and take the objective. Totally different feel from a Black Ops game where it is more the
monkey brain.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the videos you've put up in the last couple weeks of playing Cold War, especially that one map from Black Ops 2 that's like the mansion or whatever with the pool. Yeah. And it's like you're just sitting in the pool and just basically running circles around people, and you just rush into that bedroom that looks over the pool with no regard for anything, and beat someone in the face with a mallet or whatever. I mean, it is totally bonkers, fast paced. Let's just rush in and shoot and spray everything with bullets and hope we win. I mean, that is the feel of the and it's like, and the two different, very distinct play styles. It's going to depend on what you prefer, but I prefer the first thing where it's the more tactical nature that sometimes does devolve into run and gun when the situation calls for it, and also depending on the mode, because I like that Modern Warfare can have the more tactical modes, but I feel like you try to put those more tactical modes in a Black Ops game, they're either going to go unplayed or people are not going to play them the way they're meant to be played.
Yeah, that would like those probably wouldn't work well, like stuff like headquarters or trying to think, because
I remember the Cold War beta had that VIP escort mission.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
I had completely.
And for the beta, I kind of remember that working, but I don't know if that worked when the full game was out, when the whole player base was there. So
I have not played it since the beta, so I have no clue.
Well, so I mean, see, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, so I wanted to answer the one quick question. Now we've sat here for like another half hour just on the news.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done it again. Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna. Okay.
No, I
realized I'm completely misunderstood. Which, thanks, Ghost. I'm blaming it on you because now my brain is.
The monkey brain isn't even working anymore. There's just no brain.
Reject human brain, return to monkey brain.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was Ghosts. That was definitely something. I suppose a little bump in the road on to Modern Warfare 2, and I suppose it's also a bit of a bump coming up, although not quite as big of a bump. Which is of course Rainbow Six Siege, which that will be the next entry in the road to Modern Warfare 2. And I probably should have started off with that. You know, what about the Modern Warfare 2 beta? Well, if you go to Prentice's channel at Prentice 1215, we're gonna play the beta over on his channel, so he's gonna have streaming duties on that one. And I'm really looking forward to it because, man, I really want to play the beta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I have given up on mowing the yard today, and I'm going to play that for like 30 minutes before I have to go to bed because I need to be at work in like 6 hours. So,
oof. So yeah,
no, that's actually it's more like 7 hours. I've got a little bit more time than I thought, but anyway.
Oh, so yeah, head over to his channel to both if you want to watch us play the Modern Warfare 2 beta, and also that aforementioned Infinity Ward Saga series of videos. So that's me going on a plug for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I will probably maybe play something tomorrow. I'm just trying to think. It's either gonna have to be 7 or Skyrim again because I need to get both of those started up. I think I'm right now leaning a little bit more towards Ace Combat 7 because apparently they have some sort of presentation at Tokyo Game Show, which apparently is this weekend. I have no clue what it is about. All I know is that it's not going to be a new game. They had to clarify that, which is always
unfortunate.
Yeah, but it probably would have been years off anyway. So I'm more leaning towards that, and then of course Sunday Modern Warfare 2 beta on Prentice's channel. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this despite the game in question. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter at LokaCola. A link is in the description down below. And we'll see you next time on the road to Modern Warfare 2. Unless you're watching the Modern Warfare 2 beta stream, then that is when you'll catch us next time. Alright, good. I guess I'm trying to think of an analogy. Like, we're not taking the mask off, I feel, but it also feels weird to put the mask on. We're going dark. Let's do that. It's a lot easier, better, and also Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going dark, and we'll see you next time. Oh.